The latest on the 10-year-old boy killed at a Kansas water park on what is known as the world's tallest water slide. That slide now closed as we learn new details about the tragedy, and investigators try to determine what went wrong. ABC's Alex Perez is in Kansas City with the very latest. Good morning, Alex.
Hey, good morning, Lara. Investigators have not said what they believe went wrong here. Witnesses say people were scrambling to try to help the boy, but it was simply too late.
This morning, new startling details on that terrifying accident that killed 10-year-old Caleb Schwab. Police now saying he died of a fatal neck injury at the end of the ride.
It was a very loud, just a boom boom. I knew immediately that somebody had fallen off the raft.
Eyewitness Steve Castañeda says he saw Schwab, the son of Kansas State Representative Scott Schwab, riding in the front of the raft with two adult women in the seats behind him when the boy somehow fell out. Castañeda, a registered nurse, raced over to help. Police say both women sustained minor facial injuries.
One of the guys was still screaming, and so I told him, I said, there's nothing we can do.
ABC News was at the jaw-dropping ride called Verrückt, German for insane, when it opened 2 years ago. You must be at least 4'6" to ride, and 2 to 3 riders on a raft must weigh a combined minimum 400 pounds. The ride plummeting 17 stories in seconds, sending tubers racing down it at nearly 70 miles per hour. But before its big debut, major questions about the ride's safety. Early tests showing sandbag dummies going airborne. Officials adjusting, adding seatbelts and safety nets. Loved ones now remembering the freckled-faced 10-year-old who they say loved baseball and giving hugs.
He's going to be missed for his energy, for his life, for his smile.
And the pastor there saying this has just been unthinkable for the family. The slide will be closed indefinitely, but the park set to reopen tomorrow. George?
Okay, Alex, thanks.
What's going on, Graveyard Shift family? It is your fearless shift leader, Dalen Spratt, clocked in for another amazing shift. Y'all, I am someplace that I have never been before a day in my life. I am in Kansas. Ain't that where Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz? Ain't her little ass from Kansas? I am from where Dorothy is, with her red shoe wearing self. And I must say, Kansas is beautiful, y'all. I don't understand why it's taking me 39 years to get to Kansas. The grass is green and lush. The sun is shining bright. The wind is blowing harder than ever. And that's why I'm sitting in the trunk of my rental car, guys. It is just too windy for me to be out trying to do a spirit box session. So, today I have a very, very, very interesting story for you. It's about a young boy by the name of Caleb Thomas Schwab. You know what? I got some news articles that I'm going to play for you. I'm either going to play it at the beginning of this video or I'm going to play one after right now.
The Schwabs piled their 4 boys, including 10-year-old Caleb, into the car. They had a nickname for their second son.
Called him Monkey Bear because he climbed everything. He would hug like a bear. I mean, he's 10 years old and he still wraps his arms and legs around you. Give you a hug.
He was that kind of brother. You see him here dancing with his baby brother Isaac. When they got to the park, Caleb and his 12-year-old brother Nathan went right to the 170-foot scaffold of Verrückt, which means insane in German. The park billed it as an extreme thrill ride.
Before they took off, I said, brothers stick together. And he says, I know, Dad.
It was the last time his parents would see Caleb alive. Big brother Nathan was dutifully waiting for him at the bottom when the unimaginable happened.
He was screaming. He flew from Verrückt. He flew from Verrückt.
Nathan ran to find his mother, but the horror made it nearly impossible for the 12-year-old to explain what he'd seen.
There was a gentleman who wouldn't allow me to come close enough to see what was going on. And he just kept saying, no, trust me, you don't want to go any further.
Scott was in such shock, Good Samaritans had to confirm the incomprehensible.
I said, I just need to hear you say it as my son, Dad. And he just shook his head. And I said, I need to hear it from you. Is he dead? He says, yes, your son is dead. They just put us on a golf cart, dropped us in our van and said, sorry you lost your son. It was surreal. I don't even hardly remember driving home.
So far, no criminal charges have been filed, but the family has settled with Schlitterbahn, the theme park, for an undisclosed sum, which will go to Caleb's 3 brothers. The family is still pursuing legal action against others, including the firm contracted to build the slide. They declined our request for comment.
You call it an accident, but I think you and your attorneys believe that negligence caused
yeah,
the accident.
It's an accident. But there's an accounting because someone was negligent.
In a statement to ABC News, Schlitterbahn said it was heartbroken over the tragedy and that the safety of our staff and our guests is our top priority. But it's easy to see how in a fast-paced ride like this, things can go wrong in an instant. This man was in an Austin, Texas area slide when he careered off the edge, falling down into a rocky cliff. He suffered a broken arm and fractured ribs, but survived. In this video, a man desperately holds on to another rider after falling off of the raft before eventually being plucked back to safety.
Yeah, I've got 3 kids that have fell from the Ferris wheel.
Last August, 3 girls were injured when they fell from a Ferris wheel at Greene County Fair in Tennessee. And last April, a Texas teen died at a church carnival. She was hurled from her seat on a small spinning ride like this one. There are no federal regulations governing amusement parks, and enforcement of state laws is patchwork. The Schwabs and their lawyers are trying to change that. They're still pursuing justice, but sustaining themselves on faith and friends. At Caleb's funeral, his baseball team huddling with Scott. And it was Scott's friends who, a few months after that funeral, took him on a retreat and forced him to spend time grappling with his grief.
After Caleb was killed, you penned a letter to him.
They gave me a notebook, a pen, said, go out, hang out by the river, and you need to write a letter to your son, and then you need to write the response. So my heart got to say what it never really got a chance to say. And it was hard, but it was a release.
Caleb's brothers keep going by keeping their brother in their minds, watching those videos, some of them how-to movies he shot himself.
So in order to push that button in, we need to take this thing out, and that's kind of the key hole.
And that one of him cradling his little brother.
There's times where you're just like, I can't look at that right now.
Yeah.
Then there's other times, you can't sleep, you want to look at it.
But as you can see, young Caleb was 10 years old. He went to a water park with his family, Schlitterbahn. Schlitterbahn. I think that's how you pronounce it. We had Wet n Wild where I'm from. But he ended up going to this water park like most kids do. And the problem was this water park wanted to have the world's biggest water slide. That's the problem with Americans. They always want to do stuff bigger and better than everybody else. So they make this big old water slide, 170 feet high. That's 17 stories. You ain't got no business being 17 stories nowhere on a water slide. They built this water slide. They do all type of tests. Look, the water slide was just horrible. It was horrible. It failed the test. They put dummies in the raft and sent it on the slide to test it out. The dummies flying all out the raft. I got video footage of this, y'all. And you know what's crazy? Do you know the reason why they rushed to build this water slide? They rushed to build this water slide. They didn't have an engineer. They didn't have an architect. They had a dude named Teddy with a 10th grade education that could draw real good make the plans for this water slide. All because of Travel Channel. They had a show that was talking about the world's craziest water slides, and Schlitterbahn wanted to be featured on this show. So they built a unregulated water slide, and literally dozens and dozens of people were hurt on this slide. But all those cases just kept getting swept under the rug. It wasn't until little Caleb got up on the slide. He sat on the front of the raft. There was 2 adults behind him, and they commenced to sliding down. Somewhere down the line, Caleb fell off of the raft and hit his head and neck on the slide. Most accounts say that poor Caleb was decapitated. They said that his parents were at the bottom of the slide, and yeah, their world just ended because people literally grabbed them and didn't allow them to get close to Caleb because they didn't want them to see how gruesome it was. They literally said his head came off. But little Caleb is buried here in Kansas City, Kansas. A lot of legalities fell in place. People were sued. People were arrested. The water park directors and owners had to go to court. Like, people really went to jail for like manslaughter charges for the death of Caleb, as they should, for putting together that janky water slide. So I wanted to make sure that we came here to visit young Caleb, and I wanted to do a spirit box session just to see if he felt like talking. He's 10, so I don't know what the conversation may be like. And it's very, very windy, but you probably can't see, but Caleb is literally right here. He's right here. This is about as close as I can get to him by protecting the phone by being in the trunk of the car. So the wind is not, because as soon as I step outside, it's so windy. So Caleb, my name is Dalen. I come in love, peace, and respect. And I would love to have a conversation with you and just check on you. See, that's Caleb's resting stone right here. You can see him right there. Okay, there. That's a better angle, guys. That's Caleb right there. Caleb, you can talk to me through this box. It allows me to hear you. So Caleb, if you would like to speak to me, please just let me know. Can I speak to Caleb, please? Hold on, God. Hold on. Is Caleb here?
Man.
Said why? I would like to speak to little Caleb if possible. Said yes, sir. Hey Caleb, how you doing, buddy? Said who's there? My name's Dalen. Oh, like you. Can you tell me your name? Said why? Because I would just like to know who I'm talking to, if that's okay. It's me. I believe that it's you, but I would just love to hear you say your name. I thought I heard Caleb. I heard children. Okay, Caleb. Can you tell me how old you are? You say I'm 10. Okay. So Caleb, can I ask you a few questions about what happened to you? Y'all forgive the wind. Caleb, do you remember what happened to you that day? You said you do? Can you tell me what happened? Did you fall out of the raft on the slide? Yeah. Did you feel like something was wrong right when you started? Maybe. How do you feel about the people responsible for it being punished? Said that it wasn't them. Oh wow. So whose fault do you think it was? Caleb, before that day, did you really enjoy water parks? Said no. So why were you there that day? Well, Caleb, they closed down that ride after what happened to you. Were you having fun that day before everything went wrong? And no. The wind's blowing really strongly. That's interesting. It seems like he didn't want to be there. I wonder when something bad like that happens, like, do you subconsciously know? Like the day that you're scheduled to transition, I wonder, do you subconsciously know? Like subconsciously know. Got a little Porsche driving through the cemetery. Like I wonder, do you get a feeling, an inkling? I think about that all the time. Like when people die unexpectedly, like when they're not sick, they're not like it's just some random thing. Like they wake up one morning and everything's fine. They eat their breakfast, they get dressed, they speak to their loved ones, and literally they don't make it back home. I say that to say because I told y'all the story of my grandfather that passed away when I was 2, my mother's father. He never would say goodbye. He never, ever, ever, ever would say goodbye. He would always say, see you later, see you tomorrow, see you soon. He did not believe in goodbyes. He felt like goodbyes were permanent and final. And the day that he died, he walked out the house and told everybody goodbye. And he went fishing. And while he was out fishing on the lake, he had a stroke and fell overboard and drowned. And they used to always talk about how he never said goodbye, but for some reason on the day that he passed away, he told everybody goodbye. So I always wonder, like, did he just know? Did he have a feeling? Did he have like an inkling? I don't know. Let's ask Caleb. Caleb, did you sense something was wrong that day? Or did something feel different? Said, I would say. When did you start feeling different? I'm assuming it was very quick, so you didn't feel any pain, did you, Caleb? What's crazy is, after finding this case of little Caleb, I realized and started doing some research. There's been a lot of people that's passed away at amusement parks. There's a young kid in Atlanta that died at Six Flags. His hat fell off when he was on a roller coaster, and he jumped the fence to go get his hat. And as he jumped the fence to get his hat, the roller coaster came down and hit him. So I would love to go visit him as well. So apparently it's not as uncommon as you think. Accidents happen, but the safety procedures and precautions need to be taken up a notch at a lot of these amusement parks and theme parks. I don't know really what I expected from Caleb today. I really just kind of wanted to come out here to tell you all his story. I want to play some news clips going to play a clip right after this video to kind of give you an update on the case and what happened to all the people that are involved. So you can see the players, you can understand why the ride was janky, why people were getting sued and had criminal charges pressed against them. Like, with the passing of Caleb, I believe a lot of lives will end up being saved. Because even before Caleb passed away, dozens of people were hurt on this ride, on this 170-foot water slide. Again, greed, greed, greed. Caleb, is there anything else you would like to say? Caleb, are you at peace now with your family? Well, Caleb, I hope you're getting that rest that you deserve, buddy. Well, thank you, Caleb. It's hard sometimes to get the communication going with kids. So I didn't really expect too much of the communication. This was more so just getting the story out and you guys hearing about it, taking you to little Caleb's grave, and yeah, playing the news clips so you can kind of see what's going on with that case. So I'm gonna play kind of the update now. It's a few minutes long, so take your time, sit back, listen carefully, and yeah, I think that they handled his situation very, very uniquely and very well. You know, a lot of times big corporations can just sweep stuff like that under the rug, but the fact that the family and the authorities fought to hold everybody accountable, from the creators of the slide to the park managers to the owners, like, everybody got their just due because of little Caleb, rightfully so. So Caleb, I hope you're resting in peace, love. If you're ever in Kansas City, Kansas, please stop by, holla at Caleb. I'm sure he loves the visits. But sit back and watch this clip. See what happened with that case. Love, love, love. I'll catch you tomorrow. Look at Caleb. Caleb got his face all on his grave, looking like a little sweet kid. Man, as a parent, I hate that for him.
It's unusual for a company to get charged criminally. It's even more unusual for the individuals who run the company or were responsible for the actions to be charged criminally.
The indictment states that Henry's design of the ride, quote, guaranteed that the rafts would occasionally go airborne in a manner that could severely injure or kill the occupants. And that's what happened in the summer of 2016 when Caleb Schwab was killed after his raft went airborne, hitting those metal hoops suspended above the ride to keep the netting in. 2 others in the raft suffered facial fractures. Yet the indictment alleges Henry knew the water slide was, quote, a seriously dangerous piece of equipment, yet opened it anyway.
Should I be concerned that they're still using jackhammers and saws on this ride right now?
I have no idea what they're doing.
I don't know what
they're
doing. But you're saying it is safe?
Oh yeah, this ride is probably the safest speed slide that's ever been built. It's been tested, it's been evaluated.
Prosecutors say neither of those things were true. The indictment says that employees warned executives about brake failures on the ride at least 29 times, and yet they were never fixed, and riders were getting hurt. Nathan Campbell was a lifeguard at the park. The indictment says that every morning, employees like him would be asked to volunteer to test the ride.
The brakes just didn't work, so we never stopped and just kept going and hit the very end of the ride and flipped off.
He says he was lightly hurt in his back, but was able to walk away.
I never wanted to be close to it, on it, work for it. I didn't want to be even close to it because that happened.
Brittany Hawkins was celebrating her birthday at the park when she, too, had a close call on the Verrucht.
You're speeding down this hill and you can't really get your balance. The raft went airborne and I was actually flown up and my seatbelt came off.
Brittany says she was terrified.
We were going up that little hill, that second hill, and the gravity, again, lifted the raft and went flying down, and that's when I came crashing down on my back and couldn't move. I had 3 slip discs in my back that still give me trouble today.
According to the indictment, Henry decided to build the world's tallest and fastest water slide in a spur-of-the-moment bid to impress Travel Channel producers for their Extreme Water Park series. Prototype of the slide, even constructed in Texas, rafts seen flying off the slide.
How much over budget and how late?
Well, we were way over budget.
According to a Schlitterbahn statement, the indictment uses quoted statements from a reality TV show that was scripted for dramatic effect that in no way reflects the design and construction of the ride. Quotes were purported to be from definitive design meetings when they were, in fact, acting. The indictment even going as far as claiming Miles allegedly lied to investigators, withholding daily safety reports that contained incriminating information about injuries. Miles's lawyer, Tricia Bass, says her client never avoided or delayed repairs or covered up any incidents, and had even scheduled his wife to ride Verrucht on the day of the accident involving Caleb Schwab.
You have to look at each of these defendants individually. You can't just lump them all together and say, are they all going to get convicted or are they all going to get acquitted? They're all going to have a day in court.
In comparison to the rest of the country, Kansas's laws regarding to the regulation of rides like Verrucht are less stringent.
At the time, the state had no mandated laws that required an inspection at every setup or any ride safety analysis that should have been performed by an outside independent agency.